Well, good morning. Good morning and happy Easter. Happy Easter. It is 60 degrees and drizzly in Costa Mesa this Easter morning. Today we're on chapter 22 of My Life with the Spirits. As you can see, I've dressed down for today's talk, but heck, it's Easter. I'm wearing my Easter bonnet. And I hope everybody is feeling suitably festive today. I hope you're well and inside and cozy. And we're about ready to read chapter 22 of My Life with the Spirits. And of course, these are the Enochian magic chapters. And I hope you'll enjoy this one. So here we go, chapter 22. Enochian Spirits, Ehnb. There we go. Now there's even a little illustration in this one, and it's an illustration of the Tablet of Union of the Enochian. That's sort of the master. It's a little tablet, but it's the master tablet of the entire elemental system. Here's a bigger version of it there. And I'll talk about it. But anyway, the idea is these are like four great archangels of the elemental system, like Raphael, Gabriel, Michael, Uriel. But here we've got Exharp, Hakama, Nanta, and Bitum. Those are the Enochian equivalent of the great archangels in the Kabbalistic system. And the archangel of archangels would be the first letter of the names of all four of those archangels. So that's Ehnb, Ehnb, and that is the spirit, the Enochian spirit we're going to talk about today in chapter 22. Of all the Enochian elemental spirits we contacted during the 3-year heyday of the Guild of Enochian Studies, one in particular became the object of repeated and concentrated working. The spirit Ehnb, the ruling entity of a small but immensely powerful tablet of union, or the spirit tablet. The tablet of union is the key to the elemental Enochian system, just as the quintessential element spirit is the key to the elemental universe. Spirit is the glue that binds the other four elements together to form the building blocks of creation. It's also the barrier that prevents the elements from dissolving into one another and turning the universe into mush. Spirit is always pushing and pulling at the same time. This dual role is expressed in elemental magic as two pentagrams, spirit active and spirit passive. The Enochian Tablet of Union is actually a simplified and macrocosmic rendition of the four elemental tablets. It is made up of the names of four great spirits of the elements. Exharp, the great spirit of air who rules the entire elemental tablet of air. Hakama, who rules the entire elemental tablet of water. Nanta, who rules the entire elemental tablet of earth, and Bitum, who rules the entire elemental tablet of fire. These four great spirits rule the entire elemental universe, and the spirit represented by the first letter of each of their names, Ehnb, rules the four great spirits. Any way you look at it, Ehnb is one big spirit in the Enochian system. One side of each of the four pyramids of its name is attributed to an element. E for air, H for water, N for earth, B for fire. And just to show you again, whoop, there we go. E for air, H for water, N for earth, and B for fire. As a group, we avoided the Tablet of Union for nearly a year because of a comment made by Aleister Crowley in his Book of Thoth. Here's the quote. Generally speaking, the attributions of spirit are not clear and simple like those of the other elements. It is very remarkable that the tablet of spirit in the Enochian system is the key to all mischief. As in the Hindu system, acacia is the egg of darkness. Now, he doesn't go on to explain what he meant by key to all the mischief. But it was enough to keep us away from working the elemental tablet for a very long time. When we finally got up the nerve to do it, we were most pleasantly surprised. Fearing mischief, David and I decided to do it privately a day or so before class. First of all, Ehnb is extremely easy to call forth. The temple opening is very brief, and only the first and second calls are intoned. David immediately described a circular temple with a circular well in the center of the floor and a domed ceiling with a circular hole at the top. Ehnb in humanoid form and dressed rather ostentatiously and wearing an enormous ring, stood near the well. I began with the same question. I began with the same question I ask all of the Enochian spirits upon their appearance. What is the nature of your being? It did not answer verbally, but stretched forth its hand and with its finger pointed to the circumference of the temple floor. David interpreted. Its nature is universal. What are its specific duties? David answered in the first person. The mechanism of the universe you understand or can ever understand is contained within me. I am everything. I do everything. I know everything. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to ask. Finally, I asked David what Ehnb was doing right now. Just standing by the well looking bored. I wanted time to think. Ehnb was more than I was prepared for. I asked David to thank it for coming and ask it if it would readily appear again for the other members of the class if we called it in the same manner. It agreed. We then bade it farewell and closed the temple. At the next class, David and I did not share the Ehnb story with the others. Instead, I asked another class member if she would be willing to scry a spirit from the Tablet of Union. Our volunteer was not as skilled as David, nor was she possessed with his rich vocabulary of visual images. Nevertheless, Ehnb appeared to her, standing before a circular campfire, surrounded by a circle of stones. He wore a fringed leather coat and fringed pants. I asked her if she had anything she wished to ask Ehnb. She declined, feeling almost intimidated by its presence. After I banished and closed, David and I related the story of our first Ehnb encounter with the other members of the class. Everyone was struck by the similarities of the two visions. We decided for the time being, that Ehnb would be the focus of our elemental workings. In the months and years that followed, Ehnb proved without question to be the most cooperative and informative spirit in the Enochian elemental system. In my opinion, it's the classic spirit guide. One evening, while questioning it on the nature of time, I asked if it was aware of the periods of life and consciousness we humans view as incarnations. Ehnb answered in the affirmative. I then asked if it could show us visions of our previous incarnations. Again, the answer was yes. Then show me one of mine, I foolishly asked. Show me how I died. The seer began to describe an urban scene of what appeared to be a city in the Near East. A young man with a bushy mustache was on the rooftop of a building about 2 or 3 stories high. Telegraph poles and lines were in view, telling us that we were no farther back in time than the mid-19th century. There was laughter. The young man stepped to the edge of the roof and put his foot on a wire that stretched over the street to another building. He fell. He died. The end. I want to make it perfectly clear that although I believe in the continuity of existence, I do not hold to the simplistic theory that upon death, a vaporous ghost containing our soul floats out of our body and goes to some cosmic waiting room where a karmic committee tallies up our unfulfilled needs and desires and matches us up with 2 unsuspecting fools who deserve the hell that we will put them through as much as we deserve the hell they will put us through. I'm very confident, however, in the cycles of nature. And I do not see any reason to believe that the same cyclic behavior we observe in the universe around us cannot apply to consciousness and the continuity of our existence. Perhaps because of the fragile nature of time, we are living all of our incarnations simultaneously. That being said, I will remind you that as an infant, I had many memories that could be interpreted as stemming from previous incarnations. I confess not one of them, to my recollection, had the remotest semblance to the one described by Ehnb on that evening. Be that as it may, in my first year of college, I volunteered to be the subject of a study of hypnotic age regression. I was hypnotized by a licensed and experienced hypnotherapist and regressed past infancy to the last moments of a theorized previous incarnation. I was a young man. I had a thick black mustache that I could easily see when I lowered my eyes. I was dressed in loose white pants and a white shirt that was open to my navel. I was on a rooftop, looking across to a building of the same height across the street. A wire joined the 2 buildings. Motivated by a wire-walking act I had recently seen and urged on by my mischievous friends, I picked up a length of pipe to use as my balancing pole. I stepped onto the wire. I fell. I died. The end. And that's the end of chapter 22. Happy Easter. I hope to see all of you tomorrow for chapter 23 in our ongoing series. Have a wonderful day. Be good to yourself. Be good to each other. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law. Love under will. Have a wonderful rest of your holiday. Bye-bye.